There haven't been many surprises in terms of departures for Boston College football, but on Thursday, there was a big one.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. I am your host, AJ Black, and I am the editor of Eagle Insider, part of the 247 Network, and the host of this great podcast, your only daily Boston College podcast you're going to find out there on the internet. On today's show, we're going to look at what 8 wins would mean for Boston College if they could beat Nebraska in the Pinstripe Bowl. We're also going to look at some news in terms of scheduling, and we're also going to get into what could be the biggest departure or biggest surprise departure of the offseason. And let's kick it off with that by talking about Drew Kendall, Boston College's center for the last 3 seasons. Kendall was all ACC first team in the conference this season. On Thursday, the East-West Shrine Bowl announced that Drew Kendall had accepted an invitation to compete in the Shrine Bowl. The Shrine Bowl is a draft kind of, workout. So that means to me, he's gone. You don't go to the Shrine Bowl and then come back to your team. That's not the way it works. So Drew Kendall is gone. This is the third offensive lineman BC will lose this offseason, with Ozzie Trapilo and Jack Conley both already out of eligibility / heading to the NFL as well. This was a big surprise to me because just yesterday I saw, I think it was the Christmas dinner pictures that they put up on Instagram. He was there. He's there. So I'm not 100% sure Drew Kendall is not going to play in this game. It very well could happen that he plays and then he ends up in the draft with the East-West Shrine Bowl. So if he doesn't play, then who's going to start? And that's going to be Eric Dougherty. Eric Dougherty came to BC as a defensive lineman. They've moved him over. He's played a little bit. He's the backup snapper. That's going to be his chance. But let's talk about what Kendall was. If you were going to ask me one of my favorite recruiting drama at the end of their recruitment, I would say Drew Kendall is number 1 since I've been covering BC sports. If you remember, Drew Kendall, son of Pete Kendall, obviously a legendary Boston College player, he had he was down to 2 schools in 2020, and it was 2021, excuse me. And it was between the Eagles and Michigan. And 247 had already they already crystal balled him to the Wolverines. There was all this, it seemed inevitable they were going to get there. And then at that time, team general manager / player development guy, Joe Sullivan, tweeted out, remember he used to do all those GIFs. He tweeted out the Undertaker rising from his coffin, the one with Jeff Jarrett when he lifts it and he pulls him up. People went berserk because everyone knew what that meant. And within, I think it was like right before National Signing Day, they had, so he chooses Boston College. He's a 4-star recruit. Big get for Jeff Hafley. Arguably the biggest commitment that he landed other than CJ Burton, who just ended up not working in his 4 years at BC. So Drew Kendall comes in, he redshirts his first year, and then he starts for his last 3 years. Obviously, he gets better and better. I believe Mel Kiper has him as the number 2 center in this upcoming NFL draft. So if that's where they have you, you got to go. I mean, that's money right there. Like if you're the number 2 center in the draft, you're going to get drafted. And honestly, this upcoming NFL draft is going to be a lot of fun for Boston College fans because we already know Donovan Ezaraku is right now probably a 2nd-round draft pick who could possibly work his way into the 1st. You have Ozzie Trapilo, who is in, I'm not sure where that would be, probably 3rd, 4th round. You have Kendall, who could possibly be if he's center number 2, 3rd or 4th round. You have additionally Cam Horsley, who I believe will get drafted probably 4th or 5th round, and Jack Conley, who, if you would ask me last year if he'd get drafted, I would have said I would probably be like, no, that's never going to happen. But man, he's worked his way up there. So obviously, Boston College is going to have a good, solid group in the NFL draft. Now, where's the offensive line now? This is a big question mark because Matt Applebaum, the offensive line coach, he's going to have the biggest challenge, I think, in the last couple of years trying to figure out what he's going to do next year. but I'm not completely sold that it's a lost case. You're going to have back Jude Bowery next year, who hopefully can stay healthy. He had a tough year this year. He played well when he was healthy, but he got banged up quite a bit. And you have Logan Taylor. Those are your two returners, and that's it. However, it's not fair to just say they're the only two returning starters you have, because you have Dwayne Alec, who's played, he's played extensively. He has good experience, and he's come along. So you have three. You have potentially, you're going to probably put Eric Dougherty at your center position. That's going to be his chance to get that. And then you have some combination of either like Kevin Klein, Otto Hess, or some of the younger guys like Ryan Mickow or Michael Kraunz. Those guys will all get a chance to play. And additionally, you brought in a transfer, Amir Johnson from Merrimack. Now, I'm not really sold that he's going to be the answer day one. I think he might need a year. He was just a first year starter this year at Merrimack, so it's not like you're going to bring him in and he's going to immediately contend. But you never know. Things can happen. So this was the biggest surprise. Like all the guys that have entered the portal, you've had, Khalil Ali, Sione Hala, you've had, Thomas Castellanos, Jalen Cheek. None of those guys have surprised me. Cole Batson. This one surprised me that he was leaving, just because it's happening so late. Most of the Shrine Bowls and East-West Bowls, you knew about them 2 months ago, it felt like. And now you have a really late one. And again, I can't hate on this because it makes sense. And I believe he's 23 years old, which makes him very old for an offensive lineman. Not very old, but like for draft eligibility, you want to get guys who are younger. So he's on the older end. It does not make sense for him to wait another year. He's done everything he can do. He's not going to just stay in to win the Remington Award or try to contend to win the Remington Award. It's going to cost him money. If he's really graded as a second center number 2, which is probably like third round, it makes sense for him just to go. Just go get your money, get yourself, your draft stock's never going to get higher. It just won't. So this makes sense for Drew Kendall. It puts BC in a tougher spot. And again, I don't know if he's going to play in the bowl or not. He's there. I've seen him, but I believe Christian Mahogany was at the bowl activities last year and he never played. So we're going to have to wait and see. And as I've said, Bill O'Brien has not said anything about opt-outs. So don't ask me. I don't know. I just don't know. He's being obtuse about it. And I get it. Like, you don't want to show your cards to the opposition. So, if you were losing Trapillo, Conley, and Kendall to the bowl, like they're not going to play that, and you just told Nebraska that, a guy like Matt Rule and their defensive staff, they could figure things out to make your life hack. So keep it quiet. And maybe some of these guys will play. We'll just have to wait and see. Now, in our second segment, let's talk a little bit about if BC wins this game, what 8 wins would mean for this program, why it would be such a big deal for Bill O'Brien in just his first year at Boston College. We'll get into all that in just a moment. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or you were paying for twice? That definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even know I was still paying for. Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It helps everything grow up together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. For me, one of the best features I've seen is the subscription tracker. I've used it to cancel subscriptions I wasn't even using anymore, and I've saved a ton. Plus, with their goals features, I've been able to automatically set aside money for my future. No more stressing about budgeting every month. So cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. This is Locked On Boston College, AJ Black. Thank you all who have made Locked On Boston College your first listen. And when you're done with this episode, check out Locked On Celtics with John Corrales. The Celtics have lost 3 out of the last 4 games, I believe. Not looking good, but John Corrales, he has everything covered. Check out Locked On Celtics on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. So I am recording up in a ski house right now. I have to say I'm pretty excited about this. I've had this trip planned for all year. So I'm up. If you see the background, that's where I'm at. But I'm really excited about the Pinstripe Bowl. I'm going to take the day off and I'm not going, but I have my photographers going, and I'll be watching and giving you my thoughts from the game. So if BC wins this game, they will reach 8 wins for the first time, I believe, in 15 years, since 2008. This would be an enormous step in the right direction for Bill O'Brien in just his first year. If you go into what this year was supposed to be, you look at what the Vegas odds were, what people put Boston College down as. You look at the month of October, excuse me. Gosh, I get my months all messed up. Where you lost every game. The fact that you are on the precipice of potentially winning more games than either Jeff Hafley ever won or Steve Addazio ever won is impressive. And it talks about the resilience of this program, about the players that they brought in, whether it's Grayson James, who comes in and wins 3 out of 4 games for the Eagles, whether it's Donovan Azaraku, who became, the next best big BC defender with 16.5 sacks and ACC Defensive Player of the Year, or whether it's, the offensive line who was maligned and then played really well. You look up and down this roster, they were able to pull things together and put themselves in a position many people just never thought they were going to be able to get to. Winning 8 games for some programs would be, if this was the Florida Gators or Georgia Bulldogs, they'd be talking about firing their head coach because of this. But we're Boston College. It's different. It's a different beast. It's different expectations. And where Boston College is at, given the recent history, it's enormous for the Eagles. So while Nebraska is looking to stay 500 and win 7 games and win their first bowl game since forever, Boston College has their own bucket list, and winning 8 games is going to be on that bucket list. And to do that in year 1 is a tip of the cap for Bill O'Brien, because if he does that, he has completely, done everything that we've asked for him to do in just year 1. I think everyone looked at the schedule this year, and initially your first thought was, we just got to win 6 games. That's all you got to do, win 6 games. And you started the season off with a big win over Florida State. You've beaten Syracuse, Pitt, UNC. You've got big wins, and you've done it in convincing fashions near the end of the season. Getting to 8 wins would set this program up for some long-term success. And I hate saying this because it's a bowl game. And even you listen to what Bill O'Brien has said over and over again, is that this is more of a preview of what 2025 is going to look like, because there's so many guys that might not play, whether it's Azaraku or Conley or Trapillo or Kendall or Cam Horsley. You look at all these guys and you're going, wow, this is going to be tough. But I do say this, winning with the guys that you have does show that what O'Brien is preaching and the way that they've coached this program is seeping deep into the soul of everything in Boston College. If you can go out there and you don't have your all ACC Defensive Player of the Year, if you don't have 2 of your best offensive linemen, if you don't have your big stout defensive lineman, and you're still able to figure out how to win this game, that shows you that you've developed guys up and down your roster to make this team better, that you're going to be able to throw Quintavious Hutchins out there, or Ty Clemens, or Dwayne Alec, or Kevin Klein, whoever it is, and they're able to play at a level that beats Nebraska, another bowl team. That shows you again that this is not just the Donovan Azaraku show, or this is not just the Grayson James show. This is deep-rooted, culture-driven success that Bill O'Brien is preaching and is successful at. So, yeah, it's going to be tougher to win if Azaraku doesn't play. It's going to be tougher for your team to not have all these guys. But guess what? When you look across that field and you look at the Cornhuskers, they have issues that are very similar. They've lost their coaches. They've lost players. They have 24 guys in the transfer portal, plus many guys that have opted out as well. They're dealing with the same thing. So the playing field does even itself out a little bit, so that you've lost some of your stars, but they've lost a lot too. So no excuses for this. You got to win. As Mike Galtieri once said, just win. That's what this is all about. You got to be able to pull it out and figure things out. This is in front of, it's going to be a big crowd in New York. You've done all the things all week long, at the Pinstripe Bowl festivals, like going to the Rockefeller Center, going to the Rockettes, going to 9/11, and seeing the crowd, meeting Allison Crowther and her family at the memorial. It's been a special week for BC as they've practiced at Columbia and done all those good things. Now they've got to win. And I think as I've said all along, I'm picking BC to win this game. I know that they're underdogs. I think there's too much talent on this team that's still there that could help them win this game. So 8 wins for Boston College is the perfect stepping point. That is something that will be marketable to your fan base, to your players, and to recruits. For the fans, you're showing right away Bill O'Brien is the real deal. This is not a flash in the pan guy that like Steve Adazio or Jeff Halfley that talks a good game but can't back it up on the field. He comes in year one with a roster that is not his at all and wins 8 games. That will get you that'll get you butts in the seats next year. That will get you people that are going to watch because they know Bill O'Brien and this roster and this program is heading in the right direction and they're worth the investing of your time and money. For the players, this is going to keep them out of the transfer portal. Tomorrow, on the 28th, is when the portal closes until the spring semester. For BC, you may have a player or two that might, late jump in, but you've kept the meat of your team. The big guys that you needed to keep did not transfer. Lewis Bond is still here. All your running backs, all your offensive linemen, KP Price, the cornerbacks that you've developed, they're all here. And the reason they're going to continue to stay here, and this will not become an issue for BC, is because of Bill O'Brien and the culture he's building. 8 wins again will be that standard. It'll help you sell it to your players so that they don't go, oh, but if I go play for Missouri, I could win 9 games. No. They're going to say, I won 8 games with BC. I want to come back and I want to win 9 games here. So that's a big deal for BC too. In recruiting, I don't need to tell you guys. If you are showing that there's growth in this program, that they're becoming nationally relevant, that they're gone up from 6 to 7 to 8 wins, that sells itself. That will help you get higher level recruits. That'll help build your culture. That'll help you win games. It's cyclical. It will finally break this 6 and 7 win, mire that BC has been in since Frank Spaziani. This is huge. It is a very big game for BC. You can finally get yourself out of that. You won't go into the Boston College Twitter hashtag and see, oh, but they lost to Boston College because Boston College is a bad team. No, they're going to be an 8-win team. They're going to be a team that is above a lot of teams in the ACC. So you got to win to shut them up, to get your recruiting back up, to get your fans interested, and to keep your players here. That's why 8 wins is big for Boston College, and that is why this game on Saturday against Nebraska is huge for the Eagles. Whew. One last thing. On the Pinstripe Bowl, where is this game going to be found? Now, if you live in New England, there's some news that you need to know about. And I want to break it here because I've been talking about it with BC all day long, and I got different updates, and the last one is one you need to know. This game got bumped in New England, the Pinstripe Bowl, from ABC, which is a huge bummer because that gets them off of national television, for the Patriots, which is great because the Patriots are terrible. And who wants to watch the freaking Patriots? Put the Patriots on whatever channel. But NFL sells. I get it. I'm not going to, but whatever. Instead of being on ABC, I've been told it's on something called MeTV. And MeTV is a channel I don't even have because I have YouTube TV and it's not on there. MeTV can be found, and I'm going to put it up so that you guys know. It is on Comcast on channel 942, Verizon Fios on 461, Spectrum on 184, and RCN on 29. Good luck. This stinks. I'm going to say this right now. This stinks because you just got moved from a national televised game to MeTV, a channel I had never heard of before. Now, if you're like me, you can also use the ESPN app. Use the ESPN app. And for piece of advice from someone who uses it quite a bit, make sure it's signed in and all set up before you get in, because sometimes it's a slow process. I forget my passwords. I'm like an old guy right here, right? You know what I mean? Like, get in there, make sure you're logged in before the game starts. Get in there a day before. Just make sure you get it going. Use the ESPN app. But again, you're losing nationally televised game, which is, it stinks. But the Patriots rule, so it is what it is. Now, in our final segment, I want to go over a rumor that just came up on John Mita Perrell's podcast that Bill O'Brien brought up, and I want to talk all about that in just a moment. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can finish the season with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W. I love betting on which players will score a touchdown and how many points each team will score. It is thrilling. I'm thinking for the Patriots this weekend, Lamondre Stevenson. Maybe he's going to score. Sorry, not Lamondre. He's going to score a touchdown. I also love doing over and under on passing yards. Maybe get Drake May at 200 plus yards. You can do all of that. You can also bet on how many points each team will score. It's incredible, the options that you have. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Locked On Boston College, AJ Black here. Thank you all who have made Locked On Boston College your first listen every day. And for all you everydayers out there that have made Locked On Boston College part of your daily routine, I want to thank each and every one of you. We just went over 2,010 subscribers on YouTube. It's incredible the support that we have from all of you, and I can't do this without your support. Thank you so much. Now, another great podcast that's really started to grow on me at the end of the season has been John Mita Perrell's podcast with Bill O'Brien. If you haven't checked it out, it's worth listening to. He talks a lot about other Boston sports, which I'm not into, so I don't really spend the time listening to it. But when he gets into BC stuff, it's pretty interesting. And his descriptions of Christmas, so to make you think Bill O'Brien's the Grinch if you get a chance to listen to today's episode. But he did bring up something. It was kind of a throwaway comment, but it was really interesting. O'Brien mentioned to Mita Perrell that they're discussing a potential home game against Penn State in the future. Obviously, Bill O'Brien has a history with Penn State. He was the one that took over after Joe Paterno left the team on death's doornail after all that huge scandal. But O'Brien said that there could be a home and that they're also looking at potentially Gillette for a game between them. Now I have a bunch of thoughts on this. Of course, if BC, you guys know, I'm going to have a lot of thoughts on everything. First of all, I'm for playing Penn State. I remember when I was at school, at BC, there was a big game against BC. I believe they won that one. But it's a Northeast rival. It's the team that gets the best recruiting in the area. Obviously, their Happy Valley has a huge stadium. I would love to travel there to go to a game. That'd be fun. But one thing I would like is, if this game is to happen, which I think it should, please, please, please get Ohio State and Alabama off the books. At least with Penn State, there's a chance you could beat them. Like, there's an outside chance. Like, that's like the kind of upset that could happen. I don't mean to sound like a Debbie Downer, but BC ain't beating Ohio State or Alabama. Let's get the automatic L's off the schedule. It sounds like Ohio State's probably never going to happen anyways. I don't know why we scheduled Alabama. Like, just polar opposites in terms of teams and culture. Yeah, they're an exciting team, but like, do I need to see them stomp Boston College and give BC an automatic L? No, I don't need that. Penn State fixes that, but I don't want to see them playing the same, BC the same year that Alabama or Ohio State is playing them. So get them off. That's my first thought. My second thought is on the potential of Gillette. I loved Gillette when I saw the two UMass games there. I thought it was fun, but that was, I believe, one was a UMass home game and the other was, I believe, a neutral site, because I think BC, if I remember correctly, in that series, BC decided to do, it was around 2013. They decided to do a home game, a neutral site game, and then an away game against UMass at Gillette. So it was like basically 3 home games. If Penn State wants to do a neutral site game on top of the home game at Alumni, I'm fine with that. If they want to do BC at home and Gillette, I'm fine with that, which is never going to happen, but you can try that. I am very concerned, though, that BC is going to lose an Alumni Stadium game. Because if you give your home game to Gillette, you might as well just call it an away game because Penn State has a gigantic fan base and they are going to pack that place if it's available to them. So please don't do that. Please do not make a game. I don't care how fun of an opponent it is at Gillette giving away an alumni home game because you only get 7 of those a year. Please don't do that. Make it a neutral site game. Don't do an away game if you don't have to. I don't know how they're going to do it, but if that's going to happen, I want that. If you're going to do it, honestly, like if you're going to do Gillette, make it UMass or UConn. Like that should be the away game for those two schools every year. You should not be going to Storrs. You should not be going to Amherst. Make those the Gillette Stadium games. We've already seen Notre Dame at home at Fenway Park. I don't know. This whole playing Penn State just 1-1 would be fine. Like one at Happy Valley, one at Chestnut Hill. It was when he said the Gillette thing that made me go, "Oh, this is going to get gross." So hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully we're not going to see BC giving up home games to Gillette Stadium because that does not need to happen. What are your thoughts? Leave it in the comments below. Thank you all for listening. On tomorrow's show, we're going to do, maybe we'll do it live with Mitch. Mitch Wolf is going to come in and we're going to give our previews and predictions for the Pinstripe Bowl, which is a day away. On the day of the Pinstripe Bowl, I will be going live on the Locked On Boston postcast channel to talk about the game after it happens. So much going on right now. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for subscribing. And I hope to see you all again for another episode of Locked On Boston College, your team every day.